That's looking pretty good, but that's only one animated photo. And we've got a folder full of them in the library that we still have to set up. Now let's see if we can make setting up the second photo a little bit easier. As usual, the first thing I want to do is make a new layer. Every moving item should have its own layer in this program, so I'm going to go over to my New Layer button. We'll click that, and we'll get a new layer right above Gargoyle. And we'll just go over to our library and find out what the next picture is. Looks like it's this green neon picture, so I'm going to select that, and I'll just drag it out into that layer. Let me click on the stage to close the library panel. And I'm also going to go ahead and hide the gargoyle layer, just so we don't accidentally mess it up. Now, let's center this up. I'm going to select that picture. We'll just use our Align panel like before. To Stage is still on, so I'm just going to click our horizontal and our vertical aligns. Next, let's fix our layer name. I hate to have untidy layers, so I'm just going to double click. We'll rename this Green Neon. I'll hit the Enter key to set that up. And lastly, I want to set this up for a motion tween. If I click on my picture, it's still a bitmap. So let's press F8, and we'll make that into a symbol. We'll call it Green Neon. I'll leave it as a movie clip and the registration in the center, and click OK. Now we're ready to animate. Now this time, I want to think about things a little bit before we get going. If we remember last time, we set up the first animation, then we had to go and copy and paste a new keyframe in order to have the static portion, and we also had to set up another keyframe for our final portion. Now if we take a look, we've got our picture right where we want it for the static portion. And if we're thinking ahead, we might go ahead and make that right now while we can. Now this idea is all the way through animation. If you have a really complex animation, you may want to go to the final step of actually creating a storyboard to map out all the changes. That way you've got your plan right in front of you. For something this simple, we don't need to be that elaborate, but you can kind of see that having a plan and knowing what you're going to be doing is going to help you out in the long run, save you lots of clicks. So let's go up and create that static portion right now. I can put it at the same frame locations as we did for our first one. I'm just going to click right here at frame 25, and I can press F6. No copy and paste required because we don't have a motion tween in front of us. I can also set up the last tween by going out to frame 41 and pressing F6 again. So now we have all of our sections pre-set up, and we've saved ourselves a whole bunch of clicks already. Next, let's take a look at the fly-in animation. That's going to be over here at frame 1. So I'm just going to click on that keyframe there. And last time what we did is we went over to our motion panel. Once we had that keyframe selected, we chose the motion that we were looking for, fly in left, and we just clicked the Apply button. Now let's think about that for a second. What we got was a fly in left animation, but it started from the center point and flew left from there. For our last animation, we had to go back and modify both the starting and ending points of our animation. Now there's actually a different way to apply a preset in the Motion Presets panel, but it's not quite so obvious. So let's take a look at the top right corner of the panel. Now actually, most panels in the program have this little icon up in here. It's a pull-down menu that gives you options for the panel. We can see one up here on the timeline window and on the property window, and if we go looking, we'll see one on the library and most of the other panels as well. These give you additional options for the panel that you're looking at, so they're all going to be a little bit different. If we take a look at the options for the Motion Preset panel, we can see an Apply right here. Apply at current location will actually give you the same end result as the Apply button down here at the bottom. But we have another feature that we can use instead, End at current location. Now this is going to be exactly what we need. Normally when you hit the Apply, it's going to use the existing location of your object as the start for that motion tween and work from there. If you choose End at current location, it will keep that spot as the end, and it'll figure out where the start should be. In our case, it'll move the item over left and fly it to this ending location. That's a big help because then we won't have to modify at least one side of our animation. Now you can also choose this same feature from the right-click menu as well. So let me show that. You just click on the animation you want, fly in left, and use the right mouse button. There we can see Apply at current location and End at current location. Either method you choose, you're going to get the same result. So let's try it right here. I'll click End at Current Location, and it's going to set my animation up for me. Now, you can see the motion tween has been added, just like before, but this time it moved it over a little bit left, set the alpha to 0, and if we just drag our playhead here a little bit, we can see that it fades in, and at the end of the animation, it's sitting nicely in the center of the screen. We can still modify this, but we only have to modify one end. I'll go back to the beginning of my animation. I'll click where that photo is and just drag it a little bit further off the stage so that it's starting off the end here. There we go. I got it straight, and I can use my arrow keys to get it exactly in the position that I want. Now all that's left for us to do is to set the fly out animation. And we can do that pretty quickly. It was actually pretty quick last time. I'm just going to go and select the keyframe where we're going to set our tween up. I'll go to my Motion Presets panel, and we're going to choose Fly Out Right. Now here, I want it to use it as the starting point, so I'm just going to click the normal Apply button. Let's click Away, and I just want to preview that right here, so I'm going to go up to Control, we'll rewind, and we'll hit Play. And we can see that our second picture flies in and out just like our first one did. Now let's just kind of review the differences between the first animation setup and the second one. In the first one, we set it up in a very linear fashion, beginning to end. And that's okay if you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. But as we've seen, if you think ahead a little bit and build a non-linear animation, it doesn't really matter that we build it from beginning to end. What matters is that the animation does what we want it to do. We built this animation kind of from the inside out. We built the static portion first, then we went backwards and built the in portion and then the out portion. And we even applied a motion preset sort of backwards by setting up the finished point for the animation instead of the start point. So remember, just think before you animate.